Okay, everyone, welcome back. Part 2. We're having a fun time here. We're doing some flowers in a vase with some fruit on a table with a teapot. We're making some really good headway here on our painting. We're actually we're about halfway through. So in part 1, if you haven't seen part 1, please go back, watch part 1. We do the contour drawing. We also talk about how we're going to approach using our paints. We also talked about the glazing and alla prima techniques and how you can use those techniques to your advantage. If you learn both of them, get familiar with both of those with your watercolor painting, you can actually maximize your success with watercolors if you're familiar with both of those techniques, and we talk about how you do that on part 1. Part 1, we also did our the flowers portion and a little bit of our vase. While we were away, I did go in and do a little bit of the lighter tonal values on our vase underneath the bouquet of flowers, and we negative shape painted around the teapot here, and as well as the apple. So we're going to paint a red apple here, and maybe we'll have this is a pear over here. And so we'll get back into it again. We cleaned our palette, made sure our palette is clean when we start now to go back and continue with our painting. This is more, again, an alla prima painting, although there are some sections we might go back into to do some darker tonal values. So some areas will have a little bit of the glazing technique involved, but mostly this is an alla prima painting where we're going in and we're just doing everything for the most part. 90% of the painting we're doing to get the finished look right away, and not really being concerned too much with trying to go with the more glazing technique style where you're doing all the lights first and then going over top with the darks. Here we're going in and we're painting our flowers and doing the lights and darks at the same time and trying to get that finished look right away. So here we go. We're going to continue back in, and we'll start on the we'll do the apple now. We'll take some cadmium red and some alizarin crimson and some opera rose, and we'll do a nice red apple here. And again, I use a tissue to dry off the brush when I need to. We'll do some shadow colors here. So we'll use some blue, French ultramarine blue, and mineral violet for the shadow side of the apple. And then we'll use some orange, cadmium orange, and raw sienna. And we'll do our pear over here right next to that. And we'll do it right at the same time, alla prima style. And we'll mix some cadmium yellow in there too for the highlight. And then let's get right into the shadows. Let's do some cobalt blue. I have 2 compartments with cobalt blue, actually 3. A little bit of water, maybe a little bit of green. That's some viridian green there. And let's go right into that. Bottom of the pear. And that pear is kind of going off the page a little bit, which is fine. It's kind of nice to zoom into a subject and have things going outside the boundaries of our frame or a rectangle. So if you have a rectangular border, it's fine to run things out of the picture. It gives you a nice kind of like peek into the painting, a nice like a zoomed in kind of effect. Like if you're into photography and you zoom into a subject, you kind of crop out other areas and you zoom into the focal point. So that kind of effect looks really good. So we have that look there. And I'll do some more cerulean blue here with some water. Now we're going with a lighter tonal value. Maybe we'll go with some raw sienna, cobalt blue, and we'll do the shadow under the teapot. The teapot is white. Some French ultramarine. And we can see very clearly that I've mixed my shadow colors. I've mixed different colors in that shadow. So if I was just to go across with a blue, we can get a little more excitement in here by adding just a little bit of the raw sienna and a little bit of the red, the alizarin crimson, or the opera rose. And then we can go up and do a little mixing and dry the brush off a little bit. We don't want to go with too much water here. Let's try to get a shadow over here on the okay. So we did a little bit of a shadow on this side of the teapot, and maybe we'll just go with a little interesting bit of color there. And then maybe we'll paint around with cerulean blue and a little bit of French ultramarine. I dry off my brush a little bit, and maybe I'll just go around there and paint around the spout of the, a little bit of splashing, and I paint around the spout of the teapot, just to negative shade paint that for an interesting look. And then we'll go with the other stripe here. And I kind of changed my stripes a little bit here on my painting. You can change things if you want more stripes or less. You can do that when you're painting. And we are having a fun time here. We're going to do some more blue up top. So here I'm just going with cerulean blue and a little bit of French ultramarine, lots of water, splashing a little bit, and just doing some decorative brush strokes up top. And I'm not filling in all of the paper, the white paper. I'm leaving some white paper in a lot of, actually, sections there. So I'm just kind of putting a little bit of a design with some nice light washes and fast brush strokes just to give it some excitement. And that's about good. And then I might go in and Add a little bit of warm yellow to the wash, just a little touch of that. And now we will, I think we can maybe do a little more, maybe some darker burnt umber and French ultramarine blue. And then we can use that same burnt umber and French ultramarine blue, and we'll do some more design effects on this. So now I'm going to take my needlepoint brush, and here's where we can have some interesting fun, just some nice calligraphy to the painting. So now this is a nice fun time of not getting too overly concerned with the accuracy, but just the more or less the nice free looking free look of the design elements on the teapot there. And I'll go around with a and then we'll do some more shadowing underneath the top of the and it's kind of good to again repeat the colors. So since I have all the reds and opera rose, alizarin crimson, cadmium red up here, it's nice to add some of those same colors here and there on this side of the painting over here. Just a touch of that color helps a lot. And we can also take a little bit of our green, sap green, French ultramarine blue, and we can get in some darks here and there, and we'll use some more of our and now when you notice we put in some of the darks, it really brings a really nice finished look to the painting, and we can put them in. We'll use our needlepoint brush as well, so we can have to be careful where you might have wet the paper, so always keep an eye on where you've been working with your washes, so you don't go into areas that you've just painted in. So now we're just finishing up our details of the some of the shadowing. We're putting in some extra darks here and there, French ultramarine blue, some mineral violet, and some of the flowers here. And we can use our needlepoint brush again too to get some nice sharp looking lines that look really good. Some darks. Sometimes it looks good to blend in some of the whites. And maybe just a few of those little nice branches and spots of green around the flowers looks really, really good. Maybe I'll put a stem over here. And maybe we can go in and do a little more shadowing on this apple, make it look a little more interesting. And if you go a little bit too much with the shadowing, let's say if you have your tissue, you just blot up a little bit. And if you want to negative shape paint the handle a little more. And then on the underside of this flower over here, this section, it would be in shade because the light is sort of coming straight down on this painting, so the light would probably be coming more or less like over the top of the flower bouquet, and maybe a little bit this way. So I guess in essence is if you kind of think about where the light's coming from, and it doesn't always have to be exact, but if you're working from a photograph or something, you can in your mind just pretend where you think the light's coming from, and then you can kind of get an idea. Like if the light's coming from the top above this bouquet, then we know we're going to probably get a shadow under these flowers here that are in the front of the bouquet over here. So that's why I put the shadowing under here. And again, if you think you need to touch up something, you can always do that. And again, I'm doing some negative shape painting, so I'm trying to make that edge of the table back here a little more noticeable. And then maybe over here too. And again, I negative shape painted around this part of the teapot, and then I go this, I'm going to do that there. And there might be a shadow under here a little bit. And this is, I try to work around a little bit here and there to make things a little more noticeable. French ultramarine blue and some raw sienna. Okay, I think this is looks fine. This is a really great example of using lots of fresh paint. You know, fresh squeezed paint right out of the tube. You have lots of rich color, darks. You have some nice, really nice darks in this, and then you have some. You leave some really large sections of beautiful white paper with some maybe some cool colors, some cerulean blue, and you have really a nice combination of really bright, vibrant colors, as well as some really bright looking white paper, which looks fantastic. It helps make the colors pop on your painting. So I think if you try this, give it a whirl and see how it works out using a lot of fresh, moist paint, fresh, clean water. We keep our palette clean and brushed up. And again, we're using mostly the alla prima technique, which is we're trying to get most of our flowers and our fruits and things, and most of all this subject matter here we painted alla prima, which was we did it in one go. And then there might have been certain sections, again, toward the end of the painting, we did add in some glazing technique a little tiny bit on some darker sections here and there. But for the most part, we did this alla prima, which looks fantastic, and it's fresh looking and has plenty of interesting colors and shapes of flowers, and a really fascinating looking teapot and some fruit on a table. So I hope everybody gives this a try. Try it many times. Try different flowers maybe. These are roses. You can do any type of flowers you like personally. If you like other flowers more than you might like roses, you can use carnations or lilies or any type of flower, daisies. The fun of this one is the roses are a little more easier to paint. They're sort of round shaped, so they're kind of more simple to paint. So if you try the roses first, it might be a good thing to practice on those first because they're a little easier to paint. Once you get into daisies and other more intricate flowers, it can be a little more challenging. And if you find you have a challenge with maybe some of the more intricate flowers, all you have to do is just practice on them by pencil sketching them a couple times first before you start. And then you leave your pencil sketch next to your painting area, and then you refer back to your sketches that you did with some pencil drawings. Once you get those looking good, then you go in and do your contour drawing or your drawing first, and then you can go in and paint. But I think that's the way to do it, the approach to take. And we'll see you on the next time.